Let's be honest here, when we're going through an obby in Roblox, it's not really the jumps that get us. Most of the times it's things like invisible barriers or platforms that we fall through. My name's Chase, and here at Code Ninjas, I'm going to be teaching you how to make both your own obby and those nasty tricks that you can use against your friends for yourself. Let's get into it. Alright, so we have our very beginnings of our obby right here. So as you can see, we have our spawn point here and a little objective to jump onto. But obviously this isn't enough. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a new part. We can drag this on top and we're going to resize this to wherever we want. The first thing we're going to make is a pair of walkways. So a walkway is normally narrow and long. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll make this a little bit longer, maybe a little bit wider. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the move. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to shift it down to align it correctly and over. Right? I'm going to click on the anchor button for this model, for this piece, so that it won't fall through when we go to use it. The second thing we'll do is that I will right click on it and duplicate it. Then I will move the second piece over off to the side. So we have two new pieces here. One is a clone. So we have our new two pieces. So then the second thing we're going to do is that we will make one to where you can fall through and the other one where you can walk on top. Again, you don't really get messed up by the jumps in obbies very much. It's always those tricky things that get you. So we'll say the right one you fall through. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the View tab. We're going to click on the Properties. Our Properties has popped up right here. We're going to make sure we have the right one selected. How we know that we have our right one selected is that in the Explorer, it shows you everything that's in your game. Alright, so I'm going to click on this part. Alright, we're going to rename it to Fall Through. There we go. Yeah, that's correct. So we're going to name it Fall Through. We're going to click on it. We can make this a little bit bigger to make it a little bit easier to read through. We should be able to see, if we go through all these, we have tons of different stuff here basically. You can read through this on your own at some point, and I actually encourage you to do an experiment with them. With like, I don't know, you could say you look at what all the surface inputs are or certain behaviors. But what we're going to look at is this can collide option. If it can collide, obviously that means that people can walk into it or on top of it. We turn that off, you'll just fall through. So now that we have that done, we'll shift this off to the side and then we will play to see if it works. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do, let's see if we can get this. So made it to here and we fall through. And I'm dead. So it's a very easy thing you can make. You can make them for walls and the sides of castles for like secret entrances, or you can make them as traps. So now that we have that simple part done, let's move on to our next part. The next part we're going to do is that we're going to add in another part. We're going to resize this. It's going to be a platform to jump onto this time. Alright, and what this is going to be is that it's going to be an invisible platform that you can't see. So you're supposed to jump onto it and then onto another platform that seems really far away, like you can't make it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to resize it. We're going to resize it. That seems about the right size. What we're going to do is that we're going to move it over here, right about there. What we're going to do is I actually want it to, is that on the same level? It is. So I'm going to want to move this a bit, so I'm going to use the rotate, and I think it's the green one, yep. We're going to just turn it around. Going to go back to move and line it up properly. Cool. So I'm going to screw that off just a little bit further away. So in order to make an invisible part, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on it. Of course, rename it to invisible. Invisible. Alright, that's spelled correct, I hope. So what we're going to do, back into this properties section, like I talked about earlier, there's tons of different stuff. There's colors, brick color, whether it casts a shadow or not. Tons of stuff in here that you can look through. But we're going to find the transparency option. Here we go. Transparency right here. 0 transparency, that means that you can see it completely. A 1 means that it's completely invisible. You can change that around, so instead of 1 you could have it at 0.5, so it looks like a smoky kind of color. So you could use that for building smoke from fires, or if you wanted to make it a little bit harder or easier to see the block. So you can do it in any range amount as you want within this 0 to 1 area. But we're going to make it completely invisible for our purposes. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this block again. We're going to scoot it on over, scoot it up. Alright, so it's right here. I'm actually going to make this 0.5 right now, just so it makes it easier to see for our building purposes, and we can then make it invisible again when we go to run the game. That seems good. Alright, so almost forgot. Make sure you anchor it. If you don't anchor it, it'll just fall through. You know, that's what we'll actually do here. So I'm going to show you exactly what that means. So I'm going to unanchor this block so it's not anchored at all, and I'm going to play the game. So almost forgot. Make sure you anchor it. Alright, so now that we have that anchored, what we're going to do is that we're going to turn that transparency back to a 1. Make it completely invisible. There we go. We're going to go over here, play the game, and see if we can make it across. Alright, so this one. Alright, cool. There you go. Pretty easy. There's tons of different stuff you can do to make this game more difficult. So we have it all together now. If you want to use the more difficult options, or if you want to make it easier, it's completely up to you. Again, everything from the colors that you choose for the walkways and things like that to be, or how transparent the different parts are, it's completely up to you. Another thing I would ask you to do to challenge yourself is creating checkpoints between section to section. You achieve this by normally using spawn points. I hope you had fun in this video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Now get out here, huh? Great.